I'm Andre Huey, and welcome to From the Sidelines here on TVC Channel 40. It's our weekly sports show where we delve into topical sporting issues locally, regionally, and internationally. And we have a very special guest this week on From the Sidelines, none other but Vernon Springer. He's sportscaster, broadcaster, and someone who's very much involved in sports in almost every aspect. And recently he was awarded, he's actually placed in the Cricket Hall of Fame at a special ceremony held in New York. All right, well, Springer, first of all, let me say congratulations on your recent induction in the Cricket Hall of Fame. I think it's a well-deserved award, and it's a major milestone, I would think, in your career. Talk to us about this and how this came to be.
Well, the 44th edition of the Cricket Hall of Fame ceremony took place in Connecticut in the United States of America on Saturday. My colleague, who was also inducted into the Hall of Fame, he couldn't be there because he was in Canada on some cricket duties. And as you know, a lot of things are happening in USA cricket and Canada cricket. So he didn't make the journey across. But Roland Butcher, the first black man from the Caribbean, or the first black man to play for England, he was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. So there were 12 inductees who took part during that ceremony. The Cricket Hall of Fame was formed in 1981, making it the 44th edition. Last year, I got a call from a gentleman, Jatan Patel, in the United States of America, and he said to me that a panel he's just preparing me, but my name has been put forward to a special committee for the induction of the Cricket Hall of Fame. And so I would have had to go through a number of interviews. So I did go through that around about maybe October. And then they called me back 6 weeks after, another panel again. I had to send you my CV. Then there are a couple of other persons who were Hall of Famers who would have had to also nominate me. So my CEO of the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, who himself is a Hall of Famer, Jeff Miller. My name went through. Michael Chambers, the executive director, he also presented my name as well. So after the interviews, I came out in flying colors. And early up this year, I got a special letter indicating to me that I was going to be inducted into the class of 2025 Hall of Fame. To be honest with you, Andre, it really hasn't sunk in yet. And you know, in life, pastures are not always green, nor the waters always still. But when the storms of life become furious, God comes near and whispers, "Keep calm, I'm here." So I give God thanks for making this journey from the grammar school pasture in St. Kitts and Nevis to the Hall of Fame. And I want to remain as humble as possible as I can and to continue to carry out my passion, which is to help young boys and girls and, you know, take them to a next level. Go take some time out also and salute your parents. My parents, both parents who are deceased. My mother, who was born in St. Lucia, lived in St. Kitts. My father, who was from Montserrat, the home of Jim Allen and Mighty Arrow, worked for the St. Kitts Buckling Company for well over 50 years. My stepmother, who is alive, Vernon Springer. My brothers and my sisters, my children, my 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy, and my granddaughter, Jasana Springer. So God has been good, and I humbly accept this, knowing that there are many, many, many more achievements that I would really like to achieve. One of them, Andrea, would be by 2026, maybe January 2026, for me to launch my non-profit organization called Civic Engagement Foundation. We already got motions in place for that. The chairman is Mr. Ian Ireland. The vice chairman is Mr. Michael Mouse Josiah. We've got Keatley Williams, lawyer, businessman, sports activist out of England. We've got also Trisha Fox, who is also going to be part of that board. So part of my continuation would be to be able to make sure that my foundation, in collaboration with the University of the West Indies Five Island campus, I want to set up a number of programs, which is to get young boys and girls an opportunity, not just in St. Kitts and Nevis or Antigua and Barbuda, but from around the Caribbean, to be able to get scholarships and to assist them in many ways, so that they can be better human beings. It's not everybody is going to be cut out whether to be a test cricketer or a basketballer or a volleyballer. But my mission really would be to continue to help young people. As you know, we've been involved in sports for a period of time. Cricket is the most expensive sport outside of golf and motorsports. And so the foundation wants to set a precedence to be able to make sure that we can be able to be of assistance to a number of young people, not only young people, but to schools in general. So I'll be speaking to a couple of county manufacturers in England, in Pakistan, in India. Have already started that conversation, and hopefully we will be able to bring some food, bring some equipment. It's something that I really want to instill also, that Cricket West Indies, when they're hosting their youth tournaments, they really need to address and look at the concerns of, rather than giving out trophies, we really need to start to be able to make sure we give out bats and pads and gloves and boots to the young cricketers, because we don't make anything in the Caribbean. And a number of sports shops, everything is being imported from overseas. Let me just also, I'm ambassador right now for a new brand, Sports Zone. Ravi Etwara out of Guyana and his brothers has got a new brand called E4. And so you've seen some likes of Kevlin Anderson using that brand. We got also Shofin Rutherford, you got young Joel Andrew. So a couple of international players are now coming on stream. And this is the first businessman from the Caribbean, Ravi Etwara and his brothers, who have launched their own cricket brand called E4. Originally from Ghana, lives in the United States of America, does a lot of business throughout the entire Caribbean. And I've been asked to form part of his team to be able to promote that brand E4. So we already have a package already set up, which will come to the foundation, where we'll be able to identify young talent and give them that support.
Fantastic. That's great news to hear, and that's big news to hear that you're involved in that area. When you look back also at your career, and your involvement in cricket, not just from a sports journalistic side, from the journalism side, but also from actively involved in youth development and cricket in particular. Just share with us some of that experience that you had, and if during that time you ever imagined that you would have gotten this recognition for the work you've been doing.
Well, let me say to you, Andrew, that I was considered, as you would say, a park rat in those days. Warner Park, even up until today, is still a university. But Warner Park, before the transformation of what you see now, was just a big, wide open space area. You had Carnival Village tennis courts, the Palm Tyson Netball Complex. You just had so much activities taking place in Warner Park. And I learned the politics of Warner Park and of sports. And one name steps out straight away is the late Austin Eddy. I remember when I joined the sports department, Austin Eddy is somebody who really took me under his wings and educated me not only about the coaching aspects, or taught me the game of cricket, but he also taught me the politics side of cricket. And, he told me stories, who to stay away from, who to listen to. And there were so many. You go to the park as a small boy, you always had this run-in, whether it was football elections, cricket elections, because everything happened downstairs the pavilion in Warner Park. I remember as a small boy, you stayed for hours in the park looking at the legendary Mark Hodge and his father, and Sidney Matthew and Tackins and Irvin Sweeney playing table tennis under the pavilion. I was also formed part of a young hurricane crew. Luther Kelly, Mem Kane, Sherland Williams, and Sinclair Brown. And I was a younger hurricane. I remember Luther Kelly was a police officer. Always told my mother, don't worry, we're going to bring him home. Once he come to the park, it doesn't matter what time it's going to be, we're going to bring him home. So Luther now was being a police officer. We used to go down to the canteen at the Barstow police station. There I learned how to play domino, how to play cards, how to draw So I came up really understanding all of the workings, knowing in terms of what was happening. Dabbled a little bit, you know, when you back up in the village, to the decent, my mentor, who taught me almost everything to do with sports, whether it was cricket, football. Used to have some scenes on the village school pasture after school. You used to call it goalpost to goalpost. So if you see where the Dr. William Connor Primary School is, you used to be going from one end to the end, north or south, or from south to north. I remember my colleague George Juni Somerville. He was fancied as Mustang, and I was fancied as Concord. So people in the village used to be betting on us, whether it was 5 cents, 10 cents, and we'd be going from goalpost to goalpost. At the end of the day, we maybe might have had about 3, 4, 5 races. And you know, sometimes I would win, sometimes he would win. Today, as I speak to you, Andre, he's a Hall of Famer in Taekwondo. He's a Taekwondo guy, so he's a Hall of Famer. And just on Saturday night, I had to really give testament to him to be able to say, well, you know, that was the rivalry that we had. So he being a Hall of Famer, I'm now joining him now as a Hall of Famer, but in cricket, and he's in Taekwondo. So it shows you how different paths we would have gone. I wasn't really great, Andre, at cricket. I played a lot of softball, a lot of wind ball cricket. It was only when I went to England before I did my Yorkshire cricket course, played a little bit of cricket to the Caribbean Cricket Club, Howard Williams and those guys in England. But outside of that, my love was always early o'clock. All of us was playing. And I decided that I was going to be, I started first as a trainer. So my thing was, boy, let me start getting up these guys and getting them fit. So my focus really was to get our guys fit. So I used to go around and knock on those guys like 4:30 in the morning and got them up the park running, and we'd be going over Frigate Bay. I remember those days. You'd have had the likes of Victor Eddy, Keith Campbell Gums, Clinton Tilly Percival, Elvin Pepe Isaac. Those guys, Keith Campbell Gums, they were always on the road running. And so we picked up into that rhythm there where I call those guys, Sunil Balek, Colin Cannonier, Howard Williams, all those guys. They're just going on, knock on the door and say, hey guys, we gotta get up, we gotta go and come back home in time to get ready either to go to school or go to work. And so I picked up that. Ricky Basu and all those guys, got them up. And then, you know, we didn't have technology in those days. So, you know, we had to do a lot more reading. So you had to go to the public library. And then you also had to read a lot because Tony Cozy used to write his cricket annuals. Benson Hedges was one of the sponsors for those annuals. So you'd be going to reading, learning the different players, what they did not do. And then so I divulged and got myself into a situation now where I not only became trainer, but I also became a coach. And my first opportunity to go off to England to become a professional cricket coach, I was one of the first black men going to the Yorkshire Cricket School to come up with a pass of credit in my first hit, because in those days you only had English coaches who were aligned to be able to be doing coaching courses. That was made possible through a native of St. Kitts and Nevis, Tony Bory, who lived in the Yorkshire area and was also part of the Yorkshire Cricket School, who came down to St. Kitts and Nevis and saw me coaching the Newtown Cricket Club and had a conversation with me. But this was not before I had become trainer for the Leeward Islands team in 1984, 83. I think it would be in the same year that Sir Richie Richardson would have made his debut against Barbados. He scored naught in the first inning, 6 something in the second innings. But one thing I can remember about that game was Franklin Stevenson. We had Barbados reeling one afternoon, and Franklin Stevenson came in as the night watchman. And I could tell you, he cracked 165 during that game there. He hit the ball all parts of Warner Park. So I can remember that special moment. But during that time, I remember Sir Viv asking me if I wouldn't be interested in going to England and, you know, developing myself to become a cricket coach. I came home and told my mother about it. And lo and behold, you know, God opened the door. Tony Bory came down and saw me and came to me and made the offer. We then went and spoke to Ricky Skerritt, who was the managing director of D.L. Warren and Company Limited. And then we formed a committee together with the executive of the Newtown Cricket Club. The late Elvis Newton was the president, Clement Monarch O'Gara, Lord Cut Liebert, Stephen Liebert was one of the captain, William Tracy Thompson, those guys were the Newtown Cricket Club. And then we had a businessman somebody who worked from Antigua and Barbuda, Granville Jacobs, is working at Texaco. Anthony Wallins was part of the Newton Cricket Club. And we set out to be able to try to raise some funds. At that time, I was coaching National Bank female cricket team. So Mr. Pestana and Eugene Hamilton and all those guys, National Bank, got behind me, and the committee raised some funds because I had to, my first stint in England, I spent 8 months, came back home, and then went back within a period of another 6 months to do my next level of my course. And then I would have had to wait for another year before I could have gone back and done my advanced course. So during that period of time, I had total support from the nation of Antigua and Barbuda, also from St. Kitts and Nevis. And I can remember Joseph Red Springer in the first time when I came back from my first part of my course. He organized through the OECS Sports Desk for me to go to the British Virgin Islands to work. I worked there for about 6 months. And then when I went and I did my senior course, when I came back, he organized me again, this time to go to Angola. And so I maneuvered around, and I really am grateful also to Joseph Fitzgerald because he also helped me in my coaching background. And one of the things that he would have taught me, Andre, I remember he came to St. Kitts and he did a commentator's workshop at OTI. And at the end of the workshop, he came up to me and he said to me, sat me down, and he says, I like you, and I think that you can go far, but I just don't want you to be a cricket commentator. I want you to learn the rules of netball, the rules of lawn tennis, the rules of table tennis, the rules of basketball. And Andrea sat down there and I was like, what is he talking about? Until when I divulged into it and understood what he was talking about. And he always told me, you had to be marketable. In case there was a tournament, a netball tournament that came to St. Kitts, rather than they have to bring in Andrea Huey or somebody else, you could form part of the panel by understanding netball. So I started to dabble around, and got my little opportunities there with ZIZ. I used to be on the program with Aubrey Rogers, Sports Talk, and I remember also sharing the spotlight with the late Stedward Teixeira and Calvise Liebert on the ZIZ sports program. So I started to ingrain myself in the community. Frankie Capston always used to have a program also on Van Radio that I used to also call in and be a contributor of. And then I remember King Frankai, the late King Frankai and ZDK in Antigua used to call me up too. So then I began to blossom myself. So by the time Clive Bacchus and the late Michael King came to me while I was in the park one afternoon and said to me that they wanted me to read sports on Win FM because there was going to be an established radio station, I'd already had some groundings. The late Ribop Southwell, who had lived in the village, he too was also one of the persons that really helped me along the way in my journey. So, hey, although I was coaching Andre, I was also looking for more other opportunities as well to be an administrator. And again, even when I was coaching, I was around town hustling, to be able to get cricket gear or to get whatever aspect for the young people, talking to a number of businesses. Mr. Kishore Ramchandani, the late Kishore Ramchandani, one of the owners of Rams Trading, he taught me something, Andrew, that I'll never forget. And that propelled me even up until today. He always told me, anytime I wanted anything for young people from primary school to 19 years old, he will sponsor me. Past 19, he told me they were big men, don't come to him. So I had Sam Narani, who was the owner of Sun Island Clothes, and Mahesh Narani. They were two brothers. And those were they were Indians as well too. So, they were passionate. They were into cricket. And so I got my whole movement going. My colleague, Noel Gishard, my partner, as I would say, we really bonded together and created a lot of avenues along with a lot of some of the other coaches who are not here with us today. Elvis Starbourne, late Clem Hicks, Edgar Gilbert. All of these guys were part of the system. Another partner who joined me, he was a basketball coach, but he understood. I got him to join our team, Robert Pemberton. So it used to be Robert, Kish and myself, and we were moving around to the different businesses in St. Kitts and Nevis. In Nevis, you had John Maynard, was very instrumental and understood what we were doing in terms of the context. And so that journey started, way back, where I remember when I came back from England, and it took me 3 years, Andre, before I could have got a job in government, 3.5 years. And I remember the first time when I went off, one of the things that the committee had emphasized to the government then at that time was that if I passed, that I would get a job into the sports department when I came back home. Lo and behold, it wasn't that easy. But hey, that's history. By the time I joined the sports department, my first sports director was Mr. Lloyd Lazar. Then we had Leroy Green. Then we had Dave Connor. Then we moved on to Jeffrey Hazel. Then we had Anthony Wilshire. So I would have worked under every sports minister from independence. The only two sports ministers that I would not have worked under would have been John L. Powell and Samuel Duggins. But outside of that, from St. Kitts and Nevis independence, from the first sports minister, the Honorable Sidney Morris, who's passed away, up until Sean Richards, the only other two ministers before I retired I didn't work with would have been John L. Powell and Samuel Duggins.
Indeed, deep history there, Springer, and it shows true that you've come a long way, in terms of your development as a sports extraordinary person, because you're not only in cricket, yes, you got this award in cricket, but you're versatile in other areas as ways. We're going to take a break at this point. When we come back, we're going to talk some cricket, because there's a lot happening in West Indies cricket, and I know you're a man very passionate about West Indies cricket, so we want to get your views on the current state of West Indies cricket and what we need to do to go forward, because not only that, we've seen also where Cricket West Indies is saying, hey, we don't have much money for next season, so we have to make a lot of cuts. We'll talk more about that when we come back.
Your favorite TV shows are just a click away with TVC Plus at tvcplus.live. Stream our 24-hour live programming. Catch the latest episodes of TVC Originals on demand. Enjoy premium pay-per-view content and so much more. Watch on any device, TV, laptop, tablet, or smartphone. Visit www.tvcplus.live. Stream, watch, enjoy.
Tune in to Insights on TVC, where we explore the unique stories and perspectives of our fascinating guests.
I used to get in trouble for talking.
I am really angry. I forget English.
I had good examples of what people could become.
Each episode brings you an in-depth look at individuals from diverse backgrounds, sharing their personal journeys and valuable life insights.
I don't know. We're going to bathe here because Papa Bratcher says nobody owns the beach in St. Kitts.
People who sound like this and saying that they're like 15, I'm like, you have a beard.
Insights airs on Mondays at 8 p.m. with rebroadcast on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Only on Television Caribbean, TVC. You can also stream on demand at tvcplus.live.
At The Cable, we believe in giving back because when our community thrives, we all do. That's why, as a company, we make it our mission to touch the lives of everyone in St. Kitts. We spearheaded the renovation of J&F Hospital lobby to ensure better care for all. The Cable sponsors free Wi-Fi in every community center across St. Kitts, so no one is left behind in an increasingly connected world. We stand with communities through every moment, big or small, in culture, education, youth development, and more. Y a ti también, Comunidad Latina. Cuenta con nosotros. Estamos con ustedes. And when it comes to customer service, we set the standard. We're just a call, click, or visit away because you matter to us. Join the company that truly cares. The Cable. More than service. We're family. Somos familia. And we're proud to always give more where it matters.
It's entertainment TV at its finest. Join us for Main Event, the Caribbean's leading entertainment show only on Television Caribbean TVC. Tune in as our host chats with top artists and entertainers, bring you the latest buzz in entertainment, and showcase the hottest music videos from the region's biggest stars. Main Event airs on Thursdays at 8 p.m., with rebroadcast on Fridays at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. When it comes to entertainment, it's always the Main Event on TVC.
Welcome back to From the Sidelines. I'm your host, Andre Huey, and we are interviewing Vernon Springer. He just recently received an award in the Cricket Hall of Fame. He's been inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame for his work in cricket in the Caribbean. Vernon Springer is a very experienced sportscaster, broadcaster, journalist, cricket coach, very, very involved in sports and development, youth development in many respects. And so we're happy to have him on the show. Former colleague of mine as well. We worked together at Win FM for several years before we went our separate ways. Now, Springer, before the break, we did indicate that we wanted to get your views on the state of West Indies cricket. I think I want to start with the administration side, because just recently we had a press conference where Cricket West Indies announced that they had to make several cuts, budget cuts, due to lack of funding. Some of the things that will be cut, for example, some of the youth tournaments, the under 17, I think the under 15 will not be held next year. The combined campuses and the academy players will have to play for other franchise teams because they won't be fielding them as teams in the West Indies tournaments for next year, domestic tournaments for next year. So some major overall we're seeing in Cricket West Indies. What were your thoughts when you first heard that announcement from Chris Deering and others from Cricket West Indies recently in that press conference they had?
Andre, there seems to be from outside looking in, a lot of mismanagement of funds with Cricket West Indies, because you can't be boasting that you made $88 million from the Cricket World Cup. You had cleared almost all of your debts, and so you were in a good standing. What is quite alarming is the CARICOM governments have made they've built, I would have to say, concrete jungles, Andre, from the time that we hosted the Cricket World Cup in the Caribbean. In fact, the Cricket World Cup never came to the Caribbean because the only country that didn't build a concrete jungle was the folks at the Warner Park Cricket Stadium. Although some folks were saying that, boy, maybe the government of the day maybe should have left Warner Park the way it is and moved outside and built another, concrete jungle. When you look around at all of these massive facilities that were built in Grenada, in Antigua, you name it, in Jamaica, there was just money wasted. On Trelawney in Jamaica. You look around in Antigua, you realize that the Antigua Recreation Ground was a hallmark. There was so much history to it, and then ICC came in and said, well, you have to build a new facility because we're going to have all these thousands of people going to be coming. And if we remember, Andre, the 2007 World Cup to the Caribbean, it was a disaster. India never made it past the first round. And all the expectations on all of these fashionable statements that were made that, the World Cup was coming to the Caribbean, St. Kitts hosted matches. If you look back, I was a little small boy at that time there just looking around there. How many people filled the Warner Park Stadium during the Cricket World Cup? So I say that to mean that the CARICOM government built these huge facilities, and it was almost like slavery, because here is it that the ICC came in and changed up a whole lot of model of some of the existing stadiums that they had, and they had to come up with all of these things. You had to spend a whole lot of money, you had to pay to host matches. And the World Cup never came to the Caribbean. We've come back now, Andre, 18 years on. We've hosted maybe about, outside of the 2007 World Cup, we've hosted maybe another two. We had the Women's World Cup, then we had the T20 World Cup. So we've hosted a number of ICC events. But they've all cost us. It has all cost CARICOM. And during that time from, let's say 2004, because I remember Warner Park Stadium was finished by 2005, 2006 when we hosted India. We had a couple of warm-up games. Everything went smooth. But the point that I'm making is that from that period of time, Andre, to now, nobody at the point in time who was negotiating with the CARICOM governments ever mastered out a plan and said, listen, in all of these build-up for all of these stadiums that we're building, we have to build an indoor facility. So now you hear people talking about climate change and how much rain coming and guys can't get to practice. But we never thought about the infrastructure of having an indoor facility. So if you drive around the Caribbean, Andre, you see all of these concrete jungles that we built, but none of them have an indoor facility that Andre can go and practice. So we are really behind the 8 ball. All this money that passed through the CARICOM, that passed through the Caribbean, whether it went through West Indies, whether the governments invested, governments left their healthcare, the security, and invested in cricket. We come now today in 2025, and we have some short-term plans. But before I get to the short-term plans, Andre, we've taken up 3 of the greatest cricketers the world would have ever seen. So Viv, Brian Charles Lara, and Sir Richie Richardson. And we gone to India. We're almost like beggars, Andre. We gone to India, who controls cricket, to be on their knees. We have taken 3 of our legends to ask them for money. But Andre, why have we not taken a different course? Why have we not gone to the diaspora in Canada, in the United Kingdom, in USA, wherever? Why we couldn't take some of these same greats, along with somebody from CARICOM, along with somebody from the media, a panel, and go to the Caribbean folks in the diaspora. We've got a lot of people. I was at a function, Andre, inductee Hall of Fame, and a gentleman, one of the gentlemen got up, black man, and he says, and he was talking to the inductees, and he said, in this room here, a number of black millionaires who are passionate about cricket, whose father and grandfather and grandmother and came from the Caribbean, and they've made a life for themselves in the United States of America. But what he was saying is that the politics was so mixed in America that the average black man, boy or girl, just like soccer, just like athletics, just like other sports, wasn't given that opportunity. There was always something stopping you. And they, in that room at that night, wanted to make a contribution to West Indies cricket in some form, shape, or the other. That is what I was talking about, Andre. These are the audiences that we needed to be speaking to, our diaspora. If you look at what our politicians do, Andre, there are so many people out there that when election comes, the people in the diaspora could determine who is in government and who is not in government. So we could be doing the same thing in sports, not just cricket, but in sports as well, by using some of those folks who have made a huge contribution out there or who have connections. So you ask me, how can we get out of the scenario that we're in? We're the only cricketing nation in the world, Andre, that builds from on top down. Every other cricketing nation has a base. There's a movement as I speak to you, Brazil, Andre, in Brazil. Brazil is the fastest emerging cricketing nation in Latin America. They have so many camps. Brazil, yeah.
That is surprising.
Right? They've got a movement, Andre, when it comes in terms of cricket in Brazil. Why? Because they've started at the school level. And I know somebody's going to tell me, Andre, oh, well, their population is bigger than us. Their population is bigger than us, but they've got up off of their backsides and they've hit the streets. So they're working. So what we need to do, and I want to send this message to the CARICOM chairman, because, Andre, how many Caribbean countries play primary school cricket? We can't compete against the rest of the world, Andre, if we're not marginalizing and understanding that we have to play primary school cricket both for boys and girls. I applaud the Navy Sports Division for their continued TDC Monaco Morton primary school competition, which involves both boys and girls. I live in Antigua and Barbuda at this moment. Primary school cricket is dormant in Antigua. and we could move around the Caribbean. Primary school cricket is active in Barbados. Primary school cricket is dormant in Jamaica, and we could move around. So that's where we have to start first, Andre. And so I want CARICOM to look at introducing a CARICOM primary school 13 and under cricket competition, the one like what we used to hold in St. Kitts and Nevis, which produced Kyron Powell, Michael Louis, Lionel Baker, Jamal Hamilton, Omari Banks, Jason Holder, Craig Brathwaite, Kemar Roach, Carlos Brathwaite, Kevin Hodge, Shamar Brooks, and I can go on and on, Andre. All these guys came to the St. Kitts Nevis 13 and under cricket competition. Barbados came here for 13 years, followed by Trinidad and Tobago, Montserrat, Bermuda, Dominica, Anguilla, you name it. All of these countries came to St. Kitts and Nevis, and this was the launching pad. So I'm saying, CARICOM, that's where we have to go. It takes 15 years, Andre, to produce a world champion. The maximum between 10 to 15 years. We're in 2025. We all we're concentrating on is that if we beat India tomorrow, we have a tirade around the media saying, oh, we have looked like we turned the corner because we beat India. But what we are not doing is looking after the base. So women's cricket in the Caribbean is dormant. Who is paying serious attention to women's cricket? We have the same people playing. So I'm saying, let's get into overdrive. Let's establish, retrain our coaches, introduce where it is mandatory that you must play sports and you must play cricket at the primary school level. And CARICOM will form part of having, however we can come up with it. I can be able to work and, somebody can hire me as a consultant and I can put it together, get a team, and we can have it in a zone area and we can make it possible. But I'm saying that is where we have to start, Andre. On top of that, Andre, there's a Sir Garfield Sobers schools competition in Barbados. And we really seriously need to pay attention to the Sir Garfield Sobers competition, schools competition. When you have that primary school competition, Andre, CARICOM primary school competition, it now forms part now where you can be able to have a feeder system which is going into the Cricket West Indies under 15 tournament. It's not every youngster will get an opportunity to make the Leeward Islands under 15 team. But St. Kitts could send a team, Nevis can send a team to that CARICOM competition. Whether they're going to have a joint team, I don't know what they will do. But whatever it be like, it'll give more young people an opportunity to be involved in the sport. And you can design it in such a way that you can be able to identify talent. We have minimum in terms of population. Jamaica has the biggest population out of everybody in the Caribbean. So which means that we got to be able to find avenues as to be able to make sure that we spot all of our talent. So we can't just say, oh, well, we're just having a Cricket West Indies under 15 tournament, under 17 and under 19 tournament. We need to be able to make sure that we send people to the Sir Garfield Sobers Schools cricket competition. That is where Brian Lara was spotted. Brian Lara wasn't spotted playing for Trinidad. Brian Lara was spotted at the Sir Garfield Sobers School competition in Barbados. That's where we have to pay establishment to that area. So that's something that I feel, honestly, that we need to pay against. Finally, Andre, and I like to say finally, but on this note, in the notes that came out from Cricket West Indies, they have decided that they're going to spend US 20 million on a high performance center in Coolidge Cricket Ground, known as the Stanford Cricket Ground in Antigua, Barbuda. But why are we throwing all of our eggs in one basket? Would it not be notable if we had a plan and we went to CARICOM with a plan and we have an established academy almost in every island, we will be able to have more cricketers rather than just having 20 cricketers in Antigua in just one setting of an academy. Yes, the high performance in Antigua and Barbuda sounds good, but what you want is to be able to have a buy-in from everybody around the Caribbean. So my suggestion, Andre, is that Cricket West Indies sit with CARICOM. You ask CARICOM for US 1 million startup project, which could be able, and I want to use Warner Park as an example. You can build a factory shell where you have the Len Harris Cricket Academy. You can transform that into an indoor facility, right? You can have a capital project of US 1 million, and after that, you can have 250,000 US per year in your budget to be able to maintain that in terms of whether it is equipment, coaches, and you have Cricket West Indies, who are the governing arching body, who will have the expertise to be able to have the program set up through that academy. That academy now, Andre, you'll be able to have under 13 boys, under 13 girls, under 15, under 17, but you have a sequence of young people coming through that academy program. And over a 5-year period, you'll have more people involved in the game because you can then train umpires, video analysts, psychologists, you name it. So the academy won't only be just about playing, it will be about developing the other aspects of the game. To complement that, Andre, almost you have a University of the West Indies 5 Island campus in Antigua, you have one in Trinidad, in Jamaica, you name it. You need to have, most of these universities are now rolling out their sports program. So that is somewhere where your academy graduates can then do short courses at the University of the West Indies 5 Island campus, maybe in Antigua and Barbuda. As we speak right now, the women's team live in Antigua and Barbuda. So you have the women's senior team live in Antigua. The women's academy team, or the emerging players, they live in Antigua. The West Indies Academy, they live in Antigua. The men's team, in terms of when they're preparing, they live in Antigua. The Leeward Islands Hurricane franchise has been moved from St. Kitts and Nevis to Antigua and Barbuda. You have the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, which is based in Antigua. You have the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots, which is another franchise in St. Kitts. You got in St. Lucia, you got the St. Lucia team also based there. The point that I'm making, Andre, all of these young cricketers or cricketers who are employed by Cricket West Indies, why are we not trying to have a conversation in Antigua with the University of the West Indies 5 Island campus to have some of these young cricketers form part of some short courses? And it doesn't have to be sports management, it could be something else. So that can be able to help them, or maybe sit with the University of the West Indies 5 Island campus and establish a program to help maybe our academy young boys. Because one of the things that we know, Andre, is that we're just taking some of these boys who have not completed school and we have them in the academy. And we're saying that we want them to play for the West Indies. But they have some life skills that they need brushing up on, that they need somebody to help them. So if we design a program where the Leeward Island Hurricane franchise, which is in Antigua and Barbuda, that some of the guys there get an opportunity to go to UE or to do a short course in something else outside of their cricketing skills, that in itself would help them. Because what is missing, Andre, is the cricketers being able to think clearly. We don't have a lot of bright boys playing cricket these days, Andre. We have a lot of people who have dropped out of school, have left school early, had to go and fetch and feed their families in almost every aspect of sports, not just cricket, athletics, football, you name it. They've left school and they were good, and we expect them to compete with Akika Mbogums, who would have had a proper grounding, or Usain Bolt, who would have had a mentorship program around them. All these are things, Andrea, that we seriously have to look at to be able to help our young athletes, boys or girls, with the social media distractions that we're having. All the youngsters have an iPhone or have a phone. They live on their phone. They're not concentrating, Andre, about the aspect of the game and going and reading and understanding West Indies cricket and what it means. I saw a statement this morning, Andre, before I came on to do this interview from Sir Clive Lloyd, who was bitterly upset, and he says that, it's painful when he look at the West Indies team in India. They look like they're going on a holiday. He said he does not see the passion of these guys really running in and giving their all. But Andre, if you don't have the passion, if you don't read about West Indies cricket, if you don't know about West Indies cricket, That is how it's going to look to Clive Lloyd, because nobody has taught you, nobody has prepared you for that. We've just picked you up off of the road and sent you and said, oh, you can go to the academy, or the Leeward Island Hurricane has contracted you with a development contract. We haven't taught you about the politics and about the history of Leeward Islands cricket or West Indies cricket. That is where the issue is, Andre. So I'm saying we don't have a lot of money in the Caribbean, and when we get it, Andre, we have to use it wisely. We can't waste it. 88 million, Andre, is gone. It's gone.
Well, that brings me to the next question, though, Springer. Accountability, because we've been asking for accountability for Cricket West Indies for a long time now. Many reports have been done. We're talking about the Patterson report, the Charles Wilkin report. Several reports have been done on what can be done to improve the administration of West Indies cricket. But yet we're here again in 2025, and we're talking the same thing. And now, with this reality now staring us in the face, where we don't have enough money to execute all the cricket programs that need to be executed, the question is, how do we hold Cricket West Indies accountable, especially seeing that they also utilize the facilities that are owned by the governments of the Caribbean?
But that has been a talking point for a very long time, Andre. The governance issue of Cricket West Indies, the willingness to change the mindset and to be accountable to the Caribbean people. Right now, Cricket West Indies answer to nobody. So how do you expect CARICOM now to come back and invest more money when they're not seeing a clear-cut plan? I mean, Cricket West Indies is being used like a political platform. If Guyana is disgruntled about something tomorrow, the leadership of Cricket West Indies try to make sure that they pacify Guyana's claim and keep them quiet, rather than looking objectively as to what is wrong. And you know what's painful, Andre? We are paying huge sums of money to people who are doing commercial activities and to be seeking to get sponsorship for Cricket West Indies. But yet still, we take up 3 legends to take them to India on a golf tour and to ask them to go to the world to appeal, to get us some sponsorship or whatever. So what are we paying those people in the commercial department and who's supposed to be out there looking for Cricket West Indies? Why are we paying them all those huge sums of money when they can't bring anything? You know, the other thing which is affecting us, Andre, is that we are the governing body. Cricket West Indies is the governing body. Why the Republic Bank CPL have more sponsors than Cricket West Indies? Why is the Republic Bank not sponsoring West Indies cricket, but is sponsoring CPL?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question.
Well, so you understand what I'm talking about, Andre? Because originally, Andre, when CPL came to the Caribbean, it was understood then that CPL would bring their own sponsors, Andre. And so that they would not be competing in a small market with Cricket West Indies. So you have a situation now, Andre, and I can give you a scenario, Andre, because I'm involved with the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons. The Republic Bank is a sponsor for CPL, but we have the Antigua Commercial Bank in Antigua and Barbuda who wants to sponsor the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons. But under the agreement with CPL, and because CPL has aligned the Republic Bank, Antigua Commercial Bank can't become a sponsor for the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons. So I just break down one scenario so you can see what I'm talking about there, right? Now, had the Republic Bank been a sponsor for West Indies cricket, it would have now given other franchises like the St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla National Bank to sponsor the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots, the Antigua Commercial Bank to come on board and sponsor the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons. But that is not happening, Andre. So we are caught in a bind. The Antigua and Barbuda Falcons, we're searching to be able to try to get sponsors, but we, based on the central sponsors for CPL, we're struggling. We had late come on board this year. And I'll give you a scenario. There was a roadshow. Now you know Caribbean Airlines is also a sponsor on the CPL front. When the road tour, the trophy tour came to Antigua and Barbuda, they had approved, that it was okay for Leah to go ahead, some bright person, Andre, said, you need to hold off a little bit on layout for that road tour. And we also had Cavalier One, we had Cavalier One, and we also had English Harbor. Now, they also have a rum sponsor, El Dorado, out of Guyana. They didn't want a big presence of English Harbor and Cavalier Rum on that road tour. So I'm just showing you, Andre, all of the challenges that we as small entities face. Now, it really should have been the next way around, Andre, where these small sponsors would have been able to contribute to Leeward's cricket and to the sports cricket, and CPL have their own international sponsors, which really would have been able to help. So I'm just showing you on the commercial side, Andre, how challenges it is. It's almost like a competition. It's just like we're competing with CPL to be able to try to get the same sponsorship. And the challenges that you see happening today, Andre, where, you know, Cricket West Indies is telling you that they don't have any money. Nobody can, up until now, all are we going to be asking questions for the next couple of months, Andre? Where did that 88 million go? After you said that you cleared all your debts and you have a profit of 88 something million.
That's a very good question. Well, we'll have to see what happens in the coming days. Well, Springer, we'll have to leave it here because we're out of time. But again, I want to say thanks for taking the time out to be in on the show, and also for offering your very candid views on the state of West Indies cricket. We certainly have to have you back on to talk some more about that. And again, congratulations on your work.
Just quickly before I go, Andre.
Yes.
I really want to salute and say thanks to all of the sponsors who made it possible for me. You know, Caribana Trading, Rams Trading, KFC, TDC, you know, Wild Logistics, my uncle, Terrence Dolphin, Uncle T's, Leroy Powell, Island Purified Water, Seymour Williams, Island Auto Supply. Number of sponsors made it possible for me, even while I was in England, and supported me almost during my journey. Giant Malt, National Bank, group of companies, Mr. Pistano, you know, all those persons would have worked over the years to be able to support me very in a big way. Vincent Buckley, BNB Bacco, so many persons would have helped me during that period of time. I really want to use this audience and, you know, opportunity to be able to thank them. There have been some foot soldiers who have followed me all around. Trevor Marty Huggins, who I see is being honored. I really want to salute him. Congratulations again. Jabbo in Market Street, Verlin Warner, Isa Warner, Tessa Howell, Howell Martin, Patterson Fleming, Ashley Farrell, Tony Berry, Warren Bradshaw. These are just some people. Heskett Benjamin. Heskett Benjamin was one of my father figures who raised me. Fitzroy Eddie, you know, I mean, Trevor Payne, Stabby, Bridgewater. I also served the time, Andre, football under Peter Jenkins. Also served under Anthony Johnson. Dabbled a little bit with basketball. So you had James Barman Hanley, came up under Barman Hanley. And the loss of my friend, Andre, the person who really helped me, and I really have to give major credit to where I am today. The former Minister of Sports was, you know, my family, the Honorable Glenn Ghost Phillip. He's who really piloted and really shook me and have me here. John Maynard in England, from Nevis, who is in England. You know, all the folks who, Stuart Williams and company, would have made a huge contribution. I really want to thank everybody. Winston Skeet and Captain Lester. These guys went beyond the call of duty to be there for me whenever I wanted to execute or do anything. I thank everybody. Won't be able to, Andre, thanks for giving me this extra 2 minutes to thank everybody. And most of all, Andre, to thank the Almighty God. Because without God, you can't be able to make it across the line. All my media practitioners and my colleagues, I give God thanks, and my family, my stepmother, and my children. God bless, Andre. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thanks, not a problem, Springer. Thanks again and congrats. And thank you, the viewers, for watching this edition of From the Sidelines. Join us again next week, same time, same place, right here on TVC Channel 40 for another edition of the program.